All right, we are live. Back again. Rediscovering Black Conservatism, episode 13. Very special guests. I'm going to let them introduce themselves. Ladies first.
Okay, well, I am Barbara from Harlem, and I'm very happy to be a part of this because Black conservatism is very important.
Yes, yes. And
Yes.
I am Charles Love, the host of the Liberty Hour on AM 560 The Answer, and Assistant Executive Director of Seeking Educational Excellence. And conservatism is important, and we are definitely fighting an uphill battle. So anything anyone is doing to fix that and to push it out is important. That's why I keep coming back whenever
Absolutely.
you.
right. Very true. So people are tuning in, so we're just going to go right into it. The first topic I arrived at was from after the RNC convention, as everybody know, Black Lives Matter protesters had descended upon the White House. And there was one incident that I found particular. The Black Lives Matter protesters had surrounded Rand Paul, Senator Rand Paul from Kentucky,
Yes.
wife, and they basically wanted to beat them to a bloody pulp. Excuse my French. And what I and the police had kind of stopped that interaction from taking place. But what's peculiar about this is that anybody who studies politics know that Rand Paul is not only a Republican, he's a libertarian that's been on the forefront of criminal justice. He is the author of the Breonna Taylor law. He's the one that stopped the cops from doing no-knock raids. So for you to attack the guy who's actually putting policies in place that you say you want. So my question is, what is the real agenda? Because if the real agenda is to build the bridge between blacks and police officers, and you have all of these people. You have Tim Scott, who put the bill on the floor that was dead on arrival, but he put a bill on the floor in good faith. You have Rand Paul. You even have the Democratic governor of New York that passed the you can't put him in a headlock type of thing. So
The chokehold.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Kilco.
right.
Right.
So if all of these people are now listening on both sides of the aisle and they're making strides, it may not be what you want, but it's a small step for mankind. And this, you still engaging in provocateur, still engaging in chaos. What is your agenda? That's what I want to know. And I'm gonna go to Barbara. What's the agenda?
Well, the agenda is not peace. The agenda is Marxism. We can give them anything that they ask for, and everything is not going to be enough until they break down the family, until they break America. So there's no need to compromise with these people who are very godless and heathenistic. They're heathens. And I'm not politically correct, so people may not like it, but I call it like it is. There's nothing that you can teach them, nothing that you can give them that's going to make the situation better. They want to cause complete chaos and a breakdown of our country. These people are very dangerous. They're not to be reckoned with. They're there to be fought with everything that we have. And that's my opinion of it. Because what they tried to do to Rand Paul, what they're doing in the streets of America is unconscionable.
Right.
And I don't care what laws we pass. They want to take over this country. They don't like our system of living. They don't like the idea that we recognize under a one nation under God. Those things are repulsive to people like that. And until we tell the truth about the matter, we're going to keep wondering and trying to figure out. There's nothing to figure out. When you're dealing with godless heathens, that's just what they are.
Okay.
My 2 cents.
Strong opinion. So how can you run behind that, Charles? Come on, give me something.
Well, you don't have too much because she was completely accurate in her depiction. But I will just add one additional piece based on what you said in your question and what you said. You talked about what Rand Paul did, and these people surrounding him. It's like I don't understand. He did what they wanted. It's not even that they don't care. I would argue.
Yeah.
That they don't know. He started off with by saying if they knew that if anybody who understands XYZ, they don't, because you have really two parts in this. You have the majority of the people, like Barbara said, who are they use all this as a cover, but what they really want is control and Marxism. And then you have the lemmings, the
That's it.
people on the ground that are just being led. So you really think those people out there surrounding Rand Paul? I'm surprised they knew who Rand Paul was. Somebody must have had a picture of him because they don't
Right.
know what laws he's trying to pass. He's just the white guy who
That's
walked
true.
out of RNC. That's it.
That's true. And
Right.
some of them are paid to be protesters. Some of them are paid. So they
Right.
Hmm.
don't care what you
Yep.
do. They don't care what you say. They are getting their little $15 to
Right. Right.
do what they're trying to do, which is to destroy America.
Right. Correct. And
Yep.
the funny thing about it is that what I find striking is that these are the same interviewers, the same people that said they want to stand up for equality, they want to stand up for justice. There's just a report that came out when the rioters were in the section Wisconsin where the guy Jacob Blake had got shot. There was a guy, he was a big car dealership. I seen it in one article. He owns one of the biggest dealerships, excuse me, down there. And they destroyed his car dealership. And they destroyed over $1 million worth of property. And there was one
They don't care.
and there was one head of the Black Lives Matter. She said, "Who cares to destroy property? They're businessmen. They got insurance." So these are regular working people. As a matter of fact, that guy who owns the car dealership,
They don't
he
care.
employs people. He hires people. He helps people
Mhm.
feed their families. And then for you to destroy $1 million worth of property and act like we got justice. This is a regular working guy. How did you get justice?
Well,
He
see, you made one key mistake. You used the word equality, and I wrote a whole book about this. The book is called "We Want Equality: How the Fight for Equality Gave Way to Preference." And what it means is simply that they hide behind the guard of equality, but everything that they ask for and everything that they say is the total opposite of equality. You can't say you want equality and then immediately follow that up with, "So this is the special treatment I want." Or you can say, "We want everybody treated equal. So this is what I want you to take from him." Nothing that they
Well,
say meets the definition of equality because that's not what they want.
no, it's not. And the bottom line is they lie. They lie constantly. They're talking about Black Lives Matter. Black lives murder other blacks and others, and they don't even think about it. Black
right,
lives don't care about the many babies that are being murdered, black babies that are being murdered. If Black Lives Matter, these things would be concerning to them. It would touch their hearts. We have to understand we're not dealing with people who are logical. We're not dealing with people who are honest. We're not dealing with people who want to see things better. They want to see things their way, which is a godless America, which is Marxism. That's the bottom line.
Mhm.
There's no compromising with people like that. These people must be defeated and let them know that they're not going to win in America.
right, right. And
That's my
and
opinion.
right, and that leads me into something important. I know, Barbara, that you wrote a book about low expectations. You know,
Yes,
and I just want to get from you is how does low expectations trap us, especially when, like I said, I support Black Lives, but I don't support the organization. So I just want to know how do we get away from those low expectations, supporting groups that basically is just a race to the bottom. So
it
I
is. It is. It's a fast race to the bottom. Well, the first thing I think we need to do is think about rebuilding the black family. Unfortunately, during I believe it was the '60s, that when the Democrats convinced black women that they didn't need a man in the house, that was disastrous to black communities and black families. We have over 73% of our black babies born outside of marriage. No solid household. So I think the first thing we need to start is re-emphasizing the importance of a strong, supportive mother and father that can teach their children how to think. I see some of these, I don't even like to call them liberals because they're not leftists. They think that we need a nanny. And that's so to me degrading because we are endowed by our creator with a brain that we can think. But if nobody is helping us think and do some critical thinking about life and making choices, then we are subject to being recruited by everything that's negative, and that's so sad. And all of this, I wrote the name of the book is escaping the racism of low expectations, because unfortunately, you have people who have very low expectations of Black people. And we
Right.
have to rise to the point where we respect ourselves. But I believe that that starts with rebuilding the Black families. We are
Right.
in dire need of structured homes, strong fathers, strong mothers, strong, wise, and godly, to teach their children how to be productive citizens and not grow up to be angry people who can be recruited into gangs, into mobs, into protesters, et cetera, et cetera. So I think it begins with the restructuring of the family. But in my book, I explain how I was, of course, expected to register as a Democrat, being Black in a Black community where everybody in my family is a Democrat. I did that, and I was a member of many Democratic clubs. And I know what they're talking about in those clubs. I know how they try to create victims out of Black people and how they
Mm.
keep talking about slavery. Well, my book also has a chapter called Thank God for Slavery. And and I do thank him, because all three of us were born in a country where we didn't have to struggle and leave our other family members to become a member of. So it's a blessing for us to be here. And so my book just explains my journey, how I haven't since Jimmy Carter voted for another Democrat, because the Democratic Party was teaching me things that were in conflict. What I learned as a child going to church, to love thy neighbor. I'm not a racist, and I will never be a racist. I was taught to love. There are some people, Black people, that I can't get along with, but
Right.
not getting along with people is not based on race. It's based on character.
Right. Right. And before,
Yes.
but that's very good. You know, Charles, when you hear from Barbara, she give you a mouthful. I can't even go behind that. But
I'm still
uh,
here.
yeah, yeah. But Charles, I just want to re-emphasize that whole topic we're talking about how the left says they want something, it's not good. And like, for example, there was another article, and I felt like it was very important, but nobody brought it to life. In North Carolina, I think in a small town called, I think it was Asheville. I'm not sure. Don't quote me. But what I do know is that the councilman got
Reparations.
right, right. They finally passed reparations. I'm like, wow, this is interesting. So I go on
For
these
what?
different. So, but here's the thing. Wait. Hold on, Barbara.
But
I
here
know
it
you
comes.
got.
Here it comes.
Okay. All
Hold
right.
on.
All right.
So,
Wait
so,
for it. Wait for it.
so here, so here. Oh, but here's the thing. Here's the thing. I went on these various sites, the ADOS, Descendants of Slaves, and all these different Black websites. So I wanted to get a kind of a poll or a picture of how they was feeling. And then their whole thing, oh, this is bullshit, you know. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. They said they was gonna dump this amount of money. Nah, I want the money in my hand, and it's like, okay, you want the community to get better. They're telling you, okay, we're going to set aside 300 million for schools, make sure kids have this and this, money for this and this, and it's like, so now you don't want the investment in the schools, you want the money in your hand. So it's like
Right.
people are constantly meeting you halfway, and then soon as they meet you halfway, you move the goalpost. Say, no, that's not what I want. Charles, come on, you got to talk to me. Hold on.
They,
Let me.
they never moved the like Barbara said, they never moved the goalpost. They lied about what the goalpost was. The goalpost was never
Absolutely.
the goalpost. I'll give you another example. The goalpost is for the BLM movement has never been defund the police. The goalpost is abolish police. But what the left does is they say, well, I can just come out. I'm looking at the climate. And I'll say, well, based on where the culture is now, and the country is moving in my direction, which is good. So it's time to start moving. But I can't, they're not quite ready for abolish. So what I'll say is defund the police and let that sit out there for a while and see, and look at the polls and see how many people agree with me. And then I'll move to the next thing. So when they get to the police defunded and then they say we want to abolish, people will be sitting here saying the same thing you're saying now. They'll say they moved the goalpost. No, they didn't. The goalpost was always abolished. They just,
Yeah,
Right.
but
do it in stages. So the
Absolutely.
same thing. So the
Absolutely.
same thing goes here. They want, but from the reparation thing here is different only because that whole movement is fractured, right? So what BLM wants is different than what ADOS wants, which is different than what the average citizen who does agree with reparation wants, which is different than obviously the people who disagree with reparations. So there is no consensus
You
on it. So of course you're gonna have
know,
people say that's not what I want. And that's the problem with all these movements. You look at, I'm sure at some point you're going to talk about Kenosha or protest and all this other kind of stuff, but it all comes to the same thing. And I'll just wait until you get to some other topic. But that's my quick thing on Asheville and the reparations. You say they're meeting them halfway. It's because it's not really what they want. And
no,
Asheville, on the other hand, you give Asheville credit when Asheville was really just saying, calling it reparations, just saying, we're just going to move the chairs around in the room. So to the
Right.
defense of the people who want reparations, they say, you didn't give me reparations, you moved the chairs around.
Right.
you,
Right.
you know, as far as I'm concerned, we have so many more things that are important than that foolishness. Because number one, how come the descendants of those who fought in the Civil War, so we can have the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment, how come they're not getting reparations? How come the white people who wrote those little secret messages on quilts and all of that, and helped my forefathers, your forefather, whoever went up there north to escape slavery, don't they deserve reparations also? As
Yeah.
far as I'm concerned, they do. These people asking for reparations, number one, need to get a job. Number two, they should have stayed in school and gotten some kind of technical skills. They want
Right.
something for nothing. And a lot of them can't even get that from their own daddies. I get
Right.
sick and tired of all of this compromising with heathens because it doesn't make any sense. You give them a yard and they're going to take 20 miles.
Right.
That
Right.
doesn't even make sense. These people don't even know what a piece of cotton looks like. So what
Right.
have they earned? What have they done to earn reparations? It's foolishness to me.
Oh man, listen. After this, Barbara, we're gonna get a lot of hate mail, man.
I
Because
don't care. I don't care. I don't like what's going on in my country, and I'm fed up with it.
right,
And
right,
I'm
right. No,
tired of black people acting like they went out there and picked some cotton. We need to first start building some of these homes so a lot of our black people who have unresolved anger because they've been abandoned need to get some healing. And stop blaming the country. Stop blaming white people.
right,
And
right,
we need to stop just randomly having these children and just tossing them in the street. That's not right.
right. I
I
mean,
don't care about hate mail because hate mail doesn't define me. God defines me.
very, very true. Truer words have never been spoken. Because of because of the time constraints, we got to move on to the second topic, which is
Okay.
race to the White House, and I named it that because you have two candidates. You got Joe Biden and you got Donald Trump, and I just want to get from y'all opinion a little bit of the strengths and the weaknesses. Charles, I'm gonna get from you. What do you think Donald Trump has to do at this point to secure his reelection?
Wow. Well, this is a weird election. You tend to say that a lot, but this one is really different. I mean, obviously, you look at what's going on in the streets. You got COVID. Everything plays a part into people in the way people look at it and who they blame or who they give credit to. And he has the media. See, in 16, he was able to sneak up on them, right? They didn't take him seriously, which made it easier. So that's the biggest problem is that he can't sneak up on them. And obviously he has a record to run on. And whether it's, just like any other president, there's good and bad in there, right? So and like normal, they'll take the bad and they'll kind of his opponents will try to accentuate it. But they're also going to try, because they hate him so much, to take the good and take credit for it, or to convince you that it's not good. So Trump's biggest problem is there's nothing really he can do. It doesn't mean that I'm saying he has no flaws, but it's nothing really he can do that really is going to shore anything up. His biggest problem, his biggest weakness is something that's beyond his control. His biggest weakness is the media being against him, like it was before, and the left's ability to spin the truth to their advantage. So you would look at the best example is Portland. So now this is all fact I'm about to say, regardless of your politics, this is all fact. People, citizens are fighting in the streets. Some are left wing, some are right wing. They're fighting each other. There's physical violence in the streets. I don't care who started it. It's
Right.
happening. It's in an American city and it should stop, right?
Right.
Trump, several weeks ago, said, this is outrageous. We need to stop this. I'm going to send federal troops. The governor and the mayor were like, we don't need your help. Get out of our city. It
Right.
Right.
continues. The mayor literally blames Trump for it, and the media buys in on it. How do
Right.
you combat that? What is Trump supposed to say? He can say the truth, but they're still going to say, oh, see, there he is lying again. The bottom line is, what do you want to do? You control the city, not me. I offered you federal help. You didn't take it. A man gets killed. It's my fault.
Right.
And
Right.
people will believe it. So that's his biggest weakness, but I don't know what he
Right.
can do to combat it.
Right.
And, you know, so do I go into to Biden or do I let Barbara go first?
Right. Well. Hold on. I just want to piggyback off of one thing you said real quick, and
Okay.
we're gonna let Barbara go on for a minute. One of the things I think, as far as before we get into a weakness, one of Trump's, I would say Trump's biggest strengths is his enemy's weakness. Like if you look at the Democratic Party, one of the things they're hinging on is we got these protesters. It looks like anarchy. We tell them Joe Biden is the one that's going to end the anarchy. But the problem is, like you said, real people are getting hurt. People are getting killed in the street. Their properties being destroyed, and they're not oblivious.
Absolutely.
They're not oblivious to this. They're going, wait a minute.
Yep.
There's this party that's saying, oh, rioting is good. We're going to take a hands-off approach. You saw what happened in Seattle. The cops had to injure somebody because by the time that they got there, nobody wanted to move because they felt like this is our city now. And it was born
Mm-hmm.
because the mayor kept giving them, instead of saying, hey, listen, we are for freedom of speech, but we're not for destroying people's property. Look, and the thing is, that's Trump's biggest strength is because you have real people getting hurt. Look at the cop, the famous cop that died, the black police officer that died.
Don.
Yep.
Yes,
It's
Don.
yep.
trying
Yep.
to trying to protect property.
Protect the business. Yeah.
So they think that's going to get them in the White House, but it's not, because when somebody's family gets hurt, you think they're going to vote for the guy who, his father's property was destroyed, his whole life's work was destroyed, or a cousin that's been killed? That people are taking notice of it. So Trump is good on the fact to say, hey, listen, Joe Biden is with people that's destroying property. No, regardless of how you feel about the movement, your anger
Mm-hmm.
doesn't justify being a vigilante. We don't tolerate that in America. That's what it is.
And look at what their response has been. Their response has been not only been to do nothing, but to, okay, we'll give you what you want, mob. Mob, you're angry. We'll defund the police. Right. So
Yeah.
not only
And
are
not
they
only
doing nothing to protect people, they're giving them what they want. And when you give a mob what they want, the mob gets bigger. It's never going to stop.
Right.
Well, and another thing they're doing is that they're calling these rioters, looters, and thugs peaceful protesters. Some of the people
Right.
are waking up to the fact that
Right.
every time they breathe, they lie. And they've been lying. The Democratic Party has been lying to the American people for a long time. There's no way you can say that Trump is responsible for all of these riots, for the hands of our police to be tied, and anything. And most of these cities are run by Democrats, where all of this mayhem is taking place. So I don't, Trump can keep on being Trump. One thing about it, he has a record that he can stand on. And another thing about it, he is for law and order, because just as he said at the RNC, all they have to do is call. And they're refusing to call because of their hatred and their lack of concern for the general welfare of American citizens. And I hope that more of these Democratic loyalists will see how detrimental and how lawless this Democratic Party has become. When Michelle Obama even mentioned at the DNC that, oh, BML, they're just concerned about the continuous murdering of Black people. I'm not using her words verbatim, but she
Right.
inferred that these were peaceful people and they were just concerned about all of the Black people being murdered. If there was any honesty even in her, she would mention the Black on Black crime, because that is a continuous thing that's been going on in our communities, blacks killing blacks,
Right.
even killing babies in strollers. And then she would even mention how many blacks, over 40% nationwide, are being aborted. In New York, we have more babies aborted than born in New York City. Black on black murder of other blacks. They don't even mention any of that. So, they, as they breathe, they lie. And that
Not to
Right.
means
mention
when
that
they take a
not
breath, it's a lie.
Go
not to
ahead.
mention that they're wrong about their numbers when they talk about murder. They talk about
I know.
I mean, we have to mention the fact that their basic premise is flawed. So they start on the premise that cops are out here
Absolutely.
indiscriminately
Right.
murdering people, which is absolutely
Yes.
insane, and most black people are
Yes.
afraid to say it. It's not a partisan
Absolutely.
thing to state facts and common sense. They are not out here indiscriminately murdering people. LeBron James and Doc Rivers are wrong, period. Factually inaccurate. You can have your political views, you
Right.
can have your views on race. It is factually
Right.
inaccurate to say 600 people being killed with 40 million blacks and nearly a million law enforcement officers, if you count police officers plus ICE and all the federal
They lie.
people. A million people
Right.
working 40 hours a week, and 700 people get killed, 200 or 300 of them are black, and you say it's an epidemic and we're being hunted? It's foolish. My simple
Yes.
question, because I use logic,
By
is if
police, not.
blacks are being hunted, wait, here's the best thing. If blacks are being hunted, anybody out there listening, if blacks are being hunted and killed for no reason by police, how are there millions of them in jail?
Absolutely.
How do they get to jail
See,
without
it's
getting shot?
it's it's not even
So you're
logical.
saying they're going to
It's not
kill
even
an
logical.
innocent black person on the street, but they're not going to shoot the murderer? And then people are saying,
Right.
if the guy in Kenosha with the
Right.
gun, he shot somebody, he didn't get killed. Had he been black, I think Jacob Blake's father said, had he been black, he would have been shot. By whom? First of all, the police weren't there immediately, so they weren't there to shoot him if they
Right.
wanted to. And I guess they forget all the serial killers and rapists who are in prison. The DC sniper got arrested without being shot. And oh, by the way, the guy in Philadelphia who ambushed the police, he got arrested too. He was black. He didn't get shot.
Wow.
They don't just shoot people for no reasons. Stop lying.
Absolutely. They
Right.
don't know how to stop lying, because the lies is what has kept them in office. The lies are what has made them rich. So they constantly
But people
lie.
need to
As
wake
they
up.
breathe, they lie.
Right.
That's it.
Right.
They lie all the time.
Well, here's the
They've
thing.
lied to black people. Uh-huh.
No. Sorry, I was. It's funny that you guys mentioned LeBron, and it's funny that you said that because
Oh, they're
I
romantic.
know. The whole thing about the whole LeBron, and you got the whole Doc Rivers thing. Like you said, if Democrats want to talk about responsibility, see the problem with the conversation, it's like you said, the whole thing is unbalanced, right? The whole thing
Yes,
is unbalanced from
it
the
is.
start. Accountability always goes both ways. So I'm
It does.
I t- and I tell people all the time on the internet, you want to talk about police reform, we can, but at the same time, can we talk about citizen reform? Can we talk about both?
You,
We can't.
David,
No, only
David,
one. Only the police is bad. The
David,
people can never be bad.
you said something that has been on my heart for a long time. When are we going to talk about citizen reform? I raised, when my husband and I broke up and I moved to Florida, I was in deep South. And I told my sons, I said, if you ever stop by the police, be polite, be agreeable, and say, please call my mother. And they did that. Two of my older sons were stopped. And
Mm-hmm.
they did that. And I went to the police station. My sons were not beaten. They were not brutalized. And me and my two sons walked out of there in peace. Now, there was a police officer a white police officer, and like I said, this was in Daytona Beach, Florida. And I told him something. I must have said something. I said, I'm taking my sons out of here. So he raised his baton like he was going to hit me. So I told him, I said, you, your mother, and your grandmother will be eating beans for the rest of your life if you do that. But the thing about it is that we have to know our rights. We have to be calm. We have to be respectful. And we need the citizens to learn how to respect authority. See, too many of our children don't have that authoritative figure in the home. So they
Right.
don't even know about authority.
Right.
And they go out into the world with this unresolved anger, and they take it out all the time on anyone.
Right.
And that has to
But
be
I
stopped.
like to
So we
focus
need to
on
retrain the
like you
police
say,
and retrain the citizens.
Go ahead, go
Well,
ahead, go
you
ahead.
you you
Huh?
you talk about, but you talk about, both of you were talking about how people have to behave in a certain way too. You can't just put it on the police, which is totally true.
Yes,
And David started by saying, if you
absolutely.
want to talk about reforms or fixing some police things, he's open to working on that. That's all fine. What people are missing, I attack the extreme, because the extreme is where we have the problem, because people buy into it. So all that is true, but that's not what's important, David. Here it is. I have a guy worth $100 million who wouldn't live in a black neighborhood to save his life, living in a gated neighborhood, in a white neighborhood, going on TV with people who look up to him, saying, "We are all," speaking for me, saying, "We are all black people, all." He broke it out: kids, women, everybody. We're terrified, which is totally untrue. Are you terrified, Barbara?
Right.
Are you terrified?
I know. No,
Are
no,
you
I'm not.
terrified, David?
No,
No,
I
and
mean,
you
Okay,
know,
wait. And
I
then Doc
mean, that
Rivers
is such a
said, let
farce.
me finish. Let me finish. Then Doc Rivers said, why would the police? Some people say the police might have been scared for his life in these situations, but why would a police officer be scared? We should be scared. We're the ones being hung. We're the
oh,
ones
Right,
who can't get a job.
right.
We're the ones who can't live in
Yes,
certain communities. Which communities are you talking about, Doc Rivers? Where is it that you can't live? So
mhm.
I understand what you're trying to point out, David, and you're right that,
listen,
police can be wrong and they should go to jail if they're wrong, and that citizens can't punch a cop and think it's okay. That's all fine, but that's not what I'm problem. My problem is these celebrities and these media people who have tens of millions of followers telling us, yeah, they're right. Those people out there breaking windows and punching people are right, because all of us are being attacked, and that's why it's okay. And they're starting from the premise of a lie.
Right. Well, here's
it's enough. It's nothing but a big lie.
right. Hold on. Let me.
I'm cautious in my neighborhood. I have to be cautious in my neighborhood, but I'm not terrified. I mean, that is so exaggerated when this guy has millions of dollars and he can have armed guards around him. They think we're all stupid. They
Right.
really do.
Right.
Right
Who
here.
you gonna believe? Who you gonna believe? Me or your lying eyes is what they say. I know you see a fire back there, but I'm telling you, nothing's on fire. That's what they say. And what
That's
they
right.
don't get is they laying it on so thick because they hate Trump. People are gonna see that and be like, I don't even like Trump,
Absolutely.
but I don't have a choice but to vote for him because the other side is madness. And that's what's happening
It
more and more
is.
each day.
It
I get
is.
inboxed every day by people who say, I gotta tell you, I never thought I would say this, but I'm voting for Trump now.
Right.
But
Right. Well,
guess what? It seems crazy.
Right.
It seems crazy. He might be holding his nose, but at the end of the day, one vote is still one vote.
right.
And that's what
Well,
people have to understand. And the left just doesn't get it. Their biggest Achilles heel is they believe their own press.
right. Well, Charles, here's the
Right.
That's
thing.
it.
Let me drop a truth bomb. And you said something too. Both said it. Yeah, yeah. No, you did. Now you did. But I have one that's on my heart. It's funny that you guys said about the kids not respect authority, and she gave the story about how she taught her sons how to interact with the cops. We all, at the end of the day,
Absolutely.
we all at the end of the day want justice. We all have been pulled over by the cop. Even Senator Tim Scott had detailed his experience. But the problem is, you know what the left has done? The left has done something to where if a black guy gets pulled over by the cops, the problem is he wants justice right there. I've seen it with my own eyes. The cops will go, "Hey, let me talk to you for a minute." And he say, "Get out my face, man." He try to walk away from the cops. I
Right.
mean, I
Right.
mean, I've seen
You're
it with my
right.
own
You're
eyes.
right.
Then the cops are
Yes.
saying license and registration, and he's rolling up the window like, "I don't gotta talk to you, man. Get out my face," you know. And the thing
Absolutely.
and
Absolutely.
the thing is this: we could talk about justice and we could pass justice, but the thing is that we have to live in society where there's some type of structure, because
Judicial system.
right, if there's
Yes.
no judicial system and there's no institutions, and that's part of the problem with the left. They want to destroy institutions. There's no institutions. If there's no force,
Yes.
if there's no this, there's no that, then anybody can choose.
We have no country.
Yeah,
We have no country.
yeah. And the thing is,
We have
it's
no
just
country.
the thing is that's the hard part for citizens to get. Yes, even if you feel like, damn, this cop kind of talked to me in a way, when it's over, I wrote plenty of things against the cops. And you could do those things. The America at least allows for you to do those things. But the thing is,
Absolutely.
you
Absolutely.
you can't decide if a cop pulls you over to, hey, I'm gonna talk, I'm gonna do what I want with the cop because some rich guy on CNN told you to. But while you're getting shot, he's in $1 million mansion saying, "Oh man, I can't believe this is happening."
Absolutely.
And the thing is that people got to understand is that the rhetoric is getting so crazy that people's lives, they're endangering people's lives, and they don't even know it. They don't even know it. I don't even
They
know if
don't
they
care.
This is
people.
a
I don't think they
vicious
care.
cycle, though. I implore everybody who listens, who sees this video, to go and look up Officer Oxford. This is the perfect, situation to show exactly what's happening in the country and how it gets worse. It's a cop that was called. Everybody in the video is black except for him. He was called to a situation because a woman threatened another woman, a neighbor. He goes over to talk to them. They refuse to cooperate. He tries to arrest someone. The woman refuses to cooperate, snatches away, yells at him, all this kind of stuff. You can hear people in the video saying, "You're going to be sued." She resists arrest. She's yelling at him. And this man was terminated. Now, terminated, and the police department admitted that he did nothing wrong. What they don't understand is what this does. It fuels the fire, and it tells
Yeah.
people that there's a reward to this bad behavior, right? So they probably she was
Right.
rightfully arrested, and at the very least, she got off on bail reform. But at best, she probably got a little bit of money. You know what? Sorry, here's $10,000 for your trouble. And that guy loses his job. He didn't do anything wrong. So if people see that, they continue to do it. And that is the problem. We are rewarding bad behavior. It's worse than what you're saying. You're right, David. They're saying, you're trying to say that, come on, everybody, let's make sense. If the cop is wrong, arrest them, do whatever you got to do, investigate. But people, you have to behave better. But we've gone beyond just not behaving better. We're cheering for people when they misbehave. You saw the
That's
police
true.
officer got hit in the head in Minnesota, and people stood around and cheered. So when people see that video, they're just going to keep on replicating it. So you get more. You get Chicago, where people are like, I don't have to listen to you. You get New York, where they're attacking the police. You get Seattle. You get Portland. You just get more and more of this, and you're going to get more of it because everybody's basically in their silence saying it's okay.
But here's the problem.
Yes.
You want to bridge the gap, right? Because what happens is this. You say, okay, we don't want to bridge the gap. Look at New York. I'm going to go back to New York, for example. Everybody knows they dismantled the anti-crime unit, right? Immediately, crime floods. I'm talking about. So now,
Yes.
For everybody that don't know,
Yes.
but for all of the people that's watching and they may not understand, the anti-crime unit is the force that's responsible for tracking gangs, guns, and that matter. So now you have no anti-crime unit. Now you have gangs. I'm talking about hundreds of gangs, hundreds of guns, and they have all these beefs on the street. And now the cops are restrained, right? Because now you're in a situation where cops feel like,
Right.
and I'm just gonna drop a truth bomb. When cops arrest people, there's no pretty way to arrest people, because a lot of people are saying, "Oh, he could have cuffed him up this way." If I'm tackling a suspect and it's on camera, it's not gonna look pretty. I don't care how you do it.
That's true.
If you have to
That's true.
another human being, it's never going to look pretty. There's no pretty way to restrain another human being. So,
and in the video I told you to watch with the officer, he tases that woman, and she didn't even react.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're right. You have to do what you have to do. And the other thing that people don't understand is that when you talk about New York, you talk about disbanding this unit and what they do. People make the mistake, and I say this all the time. They say it in the same thing with the illegal argument. People make the mistake because people are poor, because they don't speak English, or because they're criminals in this case, that they're stupid. One has nothing to do with the other. Just because you're a criminal doesn't mean you're a dumb person, right? You made bad choices, but that doesn't mean, for these people who talk about equality, they sure have a low belief of society and what people and what humans are like. But my point is, because they're not necessarily right, but because they're not dumb just because they're criminals, what do you think me as a gang leader are going to think when I watch the TV and they say that that unit is disbanded? Well, I know that those are the guys that harass me every day. So I instantly pick up the phone and call my friends and say, game on. It's that simple. It's not that complicated if you actually think.
It's not complicated at all. That's true. That's so true. That makes sense.
You know You know,
Wow.
the most sad part about and this is the God honest truth. You can go to the South Side of Chicago. You can go to Harlem. You can go to Bed-Stuy. You can go to Newark. Most Black Americans are hardworking, everyday people. Let's look at the statistics. If you look at statistics, you can go to a bad neighborhood, right? About 50, no, sorry, 95, 90 to 97% of the people are just everyday working people trying to get by, trying to live their life. So what we're talking about is 1 to 2% of the population.
Yeah.
So my thing is, if we want a better neighborhood, we should not be defending 1 or 2% of the population. Most Black Americans have a job. They're just trying to find a way to move up the social economic ladder, right? So you got 1 or 2% of these knuckleheads, and it's like, my thing is, we want a better community. Then we have to get in a place where if somebody's doing wrong, why we have to say, hey, look, I want a better neighborhood. You can't do that in our neighborhood. You cannot do that. There's nothing wrong with saying that.
Absolutely.
The thing is, you get vilified if you're a Black conservative. Oh, you bashing us, and I'm not even with the bashing crowd, because like I told, there's a conservative right now. He went on my page, and I said, hey, look, if you want to talk about police reform, we can talk about police reform. And his thing is, like Charles said earlier, he goes to the Black conservative opinion is not valid until you address how we being hunted down in the street like dogs. We treated like 3/5 of
That
a
is
human.
so.
And I said, wait a minute. The last time we was treated like 3/5 of a human being was when they amended the Constitution in, like, what is it, 1870? I could be wrong. My math is off. So the whole thing is, like you said,
They live in the past.
right. So the whole thing, what I'm saying is this: you want a better America. You want change. First, we have to be real about the situation. Then we have to cut out the crazy rhetoric that leads people to this kind of emotionalism, to where nobody wants to solve the problem. Really, really, because if you wanted solutions, solutions are all around the place. Now, I'm not saying that the problems of America, because it took 40, 50, 60 years to get to this place. So it's not going to clear up in 1 second, but solutions are there. So it comes to a place is if you want common sense solutions, or you want to do something else.
Well,
And that's where.
the most important thing you said there is
But you know what I find so
it's a literal
embarrassing?
amount of crime.
Right. Hold on. I think Barbara's saying.
What I find so embarrassing. What I find so embarrassing is that some of these people act like no progress in America has been made. I mean, 60 years ago, people were sitting down in lunch counters so that the people who are doing all of this whining today could sit at a lunch counter. They were protesting on the bus, so now you can sit anywhere on the bus. Where has anything that's going on in America today prevented them from maintaining a livelihood, living where they wanted, and seeking and pursuing life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness? What has hindered them? They can go to school free and even can go to college, to go to college. They can make a life for themselves. They act like no progress in America has been made, that we're back there in the 1950s, 40s, and even the early 60s.
Right.
It's so embarrassing because I had brothers who sat at lunch counters to help with the integration. And we know the many people who marched and did what they did so that we could have equality in America. We have, if you're discriminated against on the job, you have resources. You can legally go and seek retribution for being discriminated against. I feel very insulted with these people who constantly talk about
Right.
inequality in America. If it was so much inequality, why do we have so many
Uh-oh.
African to get here? And if they can't find a job here, what do? They make a job while we're still on the corner whining and crying about inequity and
Right.
injustice. It makes me very.
Hold on. Hello? You still with me?
Uh-huh.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we're here. You
Something
know,
happening?
yeah,
Hello?
little,
Oh, okay.
yeah, a little
Yes,
broke
I can
up.
hear you.
Yeah, I think we're back. But see what you were saying,
They
David,
speak very
about most of us not being
angry.
criminals. I, I made that point,
Uh-huh.
and I think that we
I'm
need to
sick
all
and
go
tired
around
of
talking about that.
Right, right, right. Exactly. And hold on, I know everybody got a lot to say. I'm just looking. Okay, because of the time, we're gonna have to approach our last subject. You know, we got to save this for the future podcast. We don't want to give them too much. Um, uh, uh, Barbara, you still with us? All right.
Yeah,
So
look like she's freezing.
yeah, she's freezing.
Yes,
But
I am.
She's
okay, good.
back.
Yes. Hello.
So we're gonna give them one more subject.
Hello.
Yeah, hello.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're gonna
Oh,
give.
good. Okay.
Yeah. So we're gonna give them one more subject, because because of time in the show, we're gonna wrap this up.
Okay.
The last one is the 17-year-old kid. I think his name is Kylie. He was the kid in Minnesota, 17, and he shot two people, and
Yes.
he was, far as I know, he was apprehended, and he'll have his day in court. But what I find interesting is that, from what I know, he was a white male that shot two other white males, but the left wing is kind of like this is some white supremacy thing, and you have those conservatives that are backing them, some are not. But my whole take on it, and I'm gonna give it to you guys. My whole take on the 17-year-old kid is that all he is he's the result of what happens when you restrain everything, right? You restrain police, you restrain rules, you restrain laws. So now you have these crazy people that come out of nowhere and engage in vigilantism. See, the thing is,
Yes.
the job that he was supposed to do, the cops were supposed to do. The cops are supposed to be there. But, for whatever reason, maybe the cops was spread thin that day, whatever. But he is the result of what happens when there's a breakdown in society. You get vigilantism. For me, the 17-year-old kid is not a hero because a 17-year-old kid should not have to kill anybody. It's sad that we even live in a society where a 17-year-old kid has to even shoot a gun. So for me, he's not a hero. He's just an example of vigilantism going wrong. Now talk to me, Charles. How you feel about that?
I don't even know why everybody's mentioning his age, other than the legal ramification. But that's going to happen. If he was 44, they wouldn't think any differently. So I don't know why they keep talking about him being 17. You're absolutely right. The bottom line is that crime is rampant. The people who are tasked to do something about it are not, and that's the problem. They want to point out why he was there. Let's give them their argument, because the left, I call them surface thinkers because they don't think deeply. So give them their argument. So he's a white supremacist. Are we to believe, because you always talk about your truth bomb, I got one for you. White supremacists, if they're legal citizens, are citizens too. Let that sit out there for a minute. Therefore, if you're going to let idiots wander around the street, throw things at each other, you can't just say the black ones can do it. You can't just say the white ones who are support of Black Lives Matter can do it. You can't just say Antifa can do it. So who cares if he's a white supremacist? Why is that even part of the subject? That only comes a subject when they think it's bad for Trump. Notice, in Portland, the guy got killed, and they keep talking about his hat and who he's tied to, and that he might be this, and he thinks this. But they didn't say that about the guys this 17-year-old kid shot. Right? Because they don't think they're Trump supporters. So we
Right.
just don't talk about their backgrounds and their organizations and their beliefs. The bottom line, anybody who's out there rioting, protesting, or whatever after 11 o'clock, yes, including protests, peacefully. If you are out there peacefully protesting even at 11 o'clock at night when weapons and bullets are flying, then you're an idiot. And I don't care why you're there or what
Yes.
side you're on. But the bottom line is that you can't allow it to happen. So it's the government's fault it was happening. Vigilantism is not the solution. But what do you think people are going to do when they think they can take the law into their own hands? Right? People can't go around saying I can attack the police. You can't go around saying I'm just going to look to see what people are doing wrong and I'm going to arrest them. But if the police aren't able to do their job, what do you expect to happen? This is not surprising. And saying it's not surprising is not condoning it.
I
Right.
agree. I totally agree with that. But another thing about my perspective on it is, number one, I don't understand white supremacy. I think that's just a made up word, a made up term. I don't fully understand it.
Well, I don't know. A lot of the
I
BLM
haven't.
people think whites are supreme. They sure act
I
like
don't
they think
even know what it
whites have
is.
supremacy.
But another thing. But another thing I say too, if he was being attacked, there's such a thing as self defense. I wouldn't care. I don't know why he would be out there. The police are not doing their jobs. But if he had to defend himself and it was his life or their life, we'll find out when it goes to court.
Right.
Then I don't have any problem with it, because people should learn that they just can't be attacking people and not suffer the consequences. That's
Right.
my take on it.
I got
You
you.
know,
Got.
because I was attacked, I've been shot and all of that stuff. And I be honest with you, I tried to kill the person who shot me. But I shot him, didn't kill him, but it was in self-defense. I have
Right.
that outlined in my book, and this guy happened to be a KKK member. And if I didn't shoot him, my brother would have died. So I saved my brother. I got shot, but I was able to stop him.
Right.
So I do believe in self-defense. I do believe in the Second Amendment. I believe in all of that.
Right. And and that y'all definitely bring a lot of truth bombs, but because of the time, I just want to tell all the people that watch the show, you can check out
My
Charles
brother.
Love. Huh?
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah. Now I was saying for everybody, you could check out Charles Love. Check out his YouTube page. You could check him out on Fox News. For all those that don't know,
I got a new podcast up, The Black Table. Check it out on Thursday. You better not be doing your show on Thursday. The Black Table, five black men, all different political leanings, talking about the culture of the day and politics. Check us out this Thursday on
okay,
Facebook. We'll be
Oh
streaming live.
wow!
and, and then we have the awesome Barbers from Harlem. If you don't know her, I guess you're living under a rock. You can check out her
She's
Facebook.
everywhere.
Yeah, you could pick up her book. Make sure you pick that up and read it, and get some interesting perspective from that. Um, Everybody, you could, as far as me, you could check me out on YouTube, David Cypher's Conservatism. And the only thing I would say left is that what we want to get to people is that ultimately you can't get unity from division, right? You can't
No,
say,
you can't.
right. Unity doesn't come out of division. You can't say, we want to abolish or destroy the police, and we want unity out of that, or we want to be able to destroy people's property, homes, and persons, and not be held accountable because we're working for a cause, right? All of these things,
That's not civil.
all of these things do not bring about unity. And what I'm calling for, just me personally, before we end this, I'm all for the fight of criminal justice reform, right? I'm all for the fight of decriminalizing things that have been harmful, that statistics have shown have been harmful for people. You got people now like, what's his name? The old talk show host Montel that had MS. He's taking marijuana. Some people take marijuana for medical conditions. So I'm all for, bringing innovative things to society that's going to help society.
Mm.
But you cannot get unity out of division. It just doesn't happen. And the sad
No,
part
it
about
doesn't.
it is even the case of Jacob Blake, the guy who was shot 7 times and now he's paralyzed. If you don't go about things in a common sense way, I'm sorry to say, it will continue to happen. It will continue to happen. And my hope is that people stop and think about what they believe in, and people stop and think, before they vote for somebody or advertise a certain belief system. So, I'm just going to end it right there.
I don't think he was shot 7 times. He was shot at 7 times.
Okay. I stand corrected. He was
Oh,
shot at.
okay.
We'll find out how many times he was shot.
Right. And I'm pretty sure that the cops will have their day in court, and the justice system will lead us to whatever the decision that's being made. I'm not going to get that. But what I will say is that, like I said, we live in a society where it's like a bike. if all the bike parts don't work properly, it's not going to work. If we don't have an efficient police department, it's not going to work. If we don't have an efficient neighborhood, if we don't have efficient citizens, it's not going to work. If we don't have efficient institutions, if we don't have efficient state government leaders, it's not going to work. So division doesn't work, and I'm just going to leave it at that. Like I said, y'all could check out Barbara's from Harlem page. Check out her book. Charles Love has a book. You check out his book. You can read, get an interesting perspective. I don't have any books, but you know, you can check me out. But yeah, I definitely thank you guys for coming on, and I encourage people to watch and really think about, you know, what we gave y'all. And then that's
Thanks
it.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for having me. And the name of the book is Escaping the Racism of Low Expectations on Amazon.
On Amazon.
Thank you.
Your favorite website.
Yes.
You can check it out. And we'll see y'all next time. Thank you.
Thank you so very